Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I just wanted to take a few moments at the top of the program today to kind of give you a little bit of a ministry update of some of the things that we're doing here at the Dove, and also an update on where we are with the Dove's new home project, which has turned out to be quite exciting, to say the least. And just to say thank you to all of you who have been helping us throughout the year, and especially at this year end, those of you who've already sent in a special gift to help us with what we need to do to get ready for the Dove to move into its new facility. You know, with the snow and all of the weather that we had over the weekend, I found myself tuning into the Dove radio and listening just for spiritual enrichment, especially Sunday morning. As you know, a lot of churches canceled services Sunday morning because of the weather. And I was reminded of quite frankly, the great programming the Dove has, both radio and television. And I know that many people have come to rely on those programs being there every day. In fact, a lot of folks who can't listen to the programs in the morning are able to listen to them at night on the Dove radio. And of course, the variety of incredible programming that's on the Dove TV. And our heart's desire is to reach as many people as we can with the programming that we have both on radio and television. Not only through all of the radio outlets and the translators, the television being on cable, and of course up on the UHF channel, on Roku, on Charter, and then of course the Ashland Home Family Net there in Ashland. It's just been remarkable, and to see the amount of people that are tuning in and watching the various programs. And that all happens, quite frankly, because of you. As I look back and see where the Dove came from and to where it is today, it's all been a result of the many of you who have caught the vision of what happens here at the Dove and support it. And believe me, all of us behind the scenes who work hard to make sure that the programming is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we are very, very grateful for your unwavering support to make all of this happen. Often we get the prayer request that comes in with a special gift, and we see those needs, and our heart just goes out to whatever that particular need may be. We know that many of you have been so faithful for so many years to support the Dove. And I just want to say thank you. I don't know how we could possibly do what we do without your involvement. It just wouldn't happen any other way. And the future for the Dove is incredible. As you know, for 30 years, the Dove has been renting facilities. We've moved the station 7 times in those 30 years. In fact, the facilities that we're in right now, we only thought we'd be here a couple of years. Well, we're soon to be here 10 years, and we've literally outgrown it. I've often said that we are a size 12 in an 8 shoe. From this location, we grew from 1 radio station to 4. We've added a television station and 9 translators. That's how much growth has gone on in the 9 years, almost 10 years now that we've been in this facility. And so over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been looking, you've been praying, our prayer group behind the scenes have been praying that somehow we would find a facility. And we've looked at, I can't even tell you how many buildings we've looked at. And for various reasons, none of these could come together until several months ago, a gentleman came to us and offered us to buy a building that he had, that not only to get it at a price that we could afford, but at a rate that fits our budget. And we are so very grateful for that. And we don't take possession of the building until January. And then in January, once we get possession of the building, we figure we have at least 60 days of planning, maybe more, of what has to be done to renovate the building. And then with the help of others, and we're going to be working together with a variety of contractors and others to do what they call a fast build. After all the planning is done, then once we kind of push the button, we figure that the build out will take anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks. So it'll be a quick build out once it starts. But it's a beautiful building, has all the power that we need. It's an 8,000 square foot building, at least that's the footprint. We're going to put in about a 3,100 square foot mezzanine, and it'll have room for the radio facilities, offices, a beautiful television studio. I mean, one that is almost beyond description. It's so perfect. And we'll have access to another big room where we could actually do some ministry work in there, do some seminars, do other television production, and have meetings in there. So we look forward to that. All of this will start in January. So between now and January, we have to raise about $75,000 for the beginning cost. And I'm sure you will understand this. And I'm no contractor, so I'm just looking at this and I'm learning a lot fast. But we have to have an architectural review, an engineering review. We have to have the fire department look at it, the county and the city give us permits and all of that of what we plan to do. And we're in the process of all of that right now. It's very, very technical, and I don't want to bore you with all of that. And it's very stretching. Anytime you step out on faith and you do something like this, you can imagine there's always going to be pushback, and we've experienced some of that already. But the $75,000 that we need is just to engage those services now. They have to be done before anything can be done in the building. We have to have the architect review. Because of some structural engineering inside the building, that has to be done and approved. And then, of course, the county, the city, and the fire all have to sign off on what we plan to do in there. And once all of those are done and those permits are issued, then we start the process of the renovation. So I'm asking you to prayerfully consider helping us with that. And thank you to those of you who have already come by with us with a special gift. Those of you who've already sent something in, thank you so very, very much. And between now and the end of the year, I'm just asking you to pray about it and see what the Lord would have you to do. And if you feel led to support us, great. Please don't take from your church. Don't do that. And don't take from other ministries that you're involved in. Because, you know, a lot of ministries at the end of the year, their budget is met by the year-end giving. And so if you're involved in other outreaches, support those. We mention a lot of them here on the air. You know, support the pregnancy resource centers, support Salvation Army, Youth for Christ, and Hearts with the Mission, and then the list just goes on and on and on. So if you're already involved in those, you make sure that your loyalty is there first. But if the Dove helps you and you want to be a part of what we're doing here, pray about it. We can certainly use your help, and together, when this is all done, it will provide a huge opportunity in many ways. First of all, one of my heart's desire is to get the internship back on full throttle, so to speak, here at the Dove. We've done it here at the Dove, and it's very, very successful. My desire is to bring high school students and college students who qualify for our program, to get them in here and teach them every aspect of what we do in the way of broadcasting, so they can at least go back into their church and be media directors, or literally maybe they could be called into broadcast journalism, whether it's from into a Christian organization or even into the secular organization, go back in being trained from a Christian perspective. And we really have a big desire to get students in here and teach them technical, the cameras, the switchers, the computers, the radio, the television, what we do on the internet, and all of those things. So that's part of our desire. And the building is nothing more than a tool. That's all it is. It's a dream tool, don't get me wrong. We're kind of still pinching ourselves that this is on track to happen. The full renovation, by the way, is going to be close to $360,000 to $380,000. That's what it's going to take to build it out. And so we're trusting the Lord for that as well. But when it's all done, it becomes an incredible tool to produce more programs, to train the next generation broadcaster, and to impact not only our immediate area, but I believe the programming that we're now developing, it'll impact the world. You know, last month we had 42,000 views of some of our television programs via YouTube. 42,000. Those are huge numbers. So people are liking what the Dove is producing. So thank you. Thank you for what the Lord has led you to do in the past, and thank you for what the Lord may lead you to do between now and the end of the year. You can go to our website at thedove.us. Right at the top, you'll see a big red button that says help build the Dove's new home. You can support us through there. You can call us anytime at 541-776-5368, or you can stop on by. And by the way, If you need more of these devotionals to give away for Christmas or maybe at stocking stuff or whatever, we have a few extra. Feel free to ask for one of those as well. But thank you for whatever the Lord leads you to do, and thank you for your faithfulness through all of these years and all of this growth. The comments of what theDove is doing in the lives of people is over the top, and because of you, you're making that happen. Thank you. We deeply appreciate it. Stick around. We have some great guests coming up here in just a few moments on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Welcome back. And, you know, perhaps in the news lately, you have seen all of the reports and the alarming reports of how much we are being watched, not only through our cell phone messaging and what we do online and Twitter and Facebook. Well, how dangerous is this? And how much information are you sharing? Well, our next guest, Katherine Albrecht, is not only a talk show host, she's one of us in the media, but she has a very concerning story to tell about online search and privacy. So join us in that conversation. We are delighted today to have with us Katherine Albrecht. She's a host, a radio host, which we like radio hosts around here. And she hosts a program covering the truth. And today we want to talk to her about protecting yourself online. Now, this is a huge topic. And hopefully we can squeeze a lot of information out of her real quickly, because she's very up to date on how we can do that. So Katherine, what a delight to have you today.
Hey Perry, I'm so glad to be on with you too, and God bless you and your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Well, this is a big topic, and how exposed are we with being online the way we are today?
You know, I think most people have no idea that some of the services that we most rely on the internet, that we just think of kind of the big freebies in the sky, actually aren't free after all. They're coming at a very high cost, and that cost is our privacy. And I think probably the one most people are familiar with, and the number one website on the internet, of course, is Google. So we can start there. People don't realize when they use Google that Google is not in the business of just answering your every question because they want to help you out. Google is actually in the business of finding out information about you, and they use their search feature as a way to figure out what's on people's minds and learn more about people, their medical conditions, their financial circumstances, their concerns, their interests, their preferences. Everything that you type into the Google search engine when you're using it to search gets logged and recorded in a giant database with your name right at the very top. And that information now is being consolidated with things like Google Street View, a picture of the front of your home. If you're using Google Calendars, they're keeping tabs on where you go and what you do. If you're using, Google satellite images would have a picture of your backyard. If you're using Google Books, they know what you're reading. So you put all of that together, and then you combine it also, of course, with Gmail, which allows Google to make a record of and read all of your email correspondence and pull out the keywords and the concepts and the phrases and the ideas and all the things you talk about in your email, and they're putting it into these incredibly detailed dossiers of personal information on people all around the globe. And whenever I talk to people about the privacy implications of this, they'll usually say one of two things. They'll either say, well, you know, Google is providing me with all of these free products, though, Katherine, so why would I want to give that up? And my response to that is that, well, first of all, when was the last time a multi-billion-dollar international corporation gave you all of its products for free?
Yeah, right.
You pause and think about that.
Right.
You got to say, well, no, that doesn't make sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because those are not the products. They're the bait, and you are the product.
Are they selling this information?
Well, what they do, they're compiling it and collecting it, and they're using it so that if you're an advertiser and you want to reach all the people with an interest in fill in the blank, then Google will serve your ad to that very narrowly defined population. And the way that they do that is by identifying what everybody's interested in and who segments into which groups. So the real problem there, and I said there's two responses. One of them is sort of, well, but hang on, all the products are free. And then once people begin to realize, ooh, you mean they're really watching what I do, and maybe it's not the safest thing in the world to have all that information in a single place, then the next question that I would get for years when I talk about this is, well, what do we do instead? You know, is there any solution? So I actually helped to develop a solution, and I helped to create a website called startpage.com, which is a private way to access 100% Google results without any of the privacy invasion.
How do you do that?
Well, what you do, you go to startpage.com, and you can remember start just like S-T-A-R-T, page, like you want to start over or start protecting your privacy, or for a lot of people, Google is their start page, the first page they see, so we just named ours startpage.com. When you get there, you can type in whatever you want to search for. So you can put in, oh, I don't know, dandruff or bankruptcy or whatever, you know, cancer, whatever you're interested in that you want to be private. We will then take your search term, strip out anything that would identify you. We submit it to Google through our servers, get the answers, strip out any tracking cookies or other things Google would put on it, give it back to you in total privacy, and then we delete all records of your visit. So we don't have your IP address. We don't know who has been on our website. And if we got, hacked, because Google got hacked a while back, the Chinese government got into Gmail accounts to identify dissidents to round them up and put them in labor camps. That couldn't happen through StartPage because if, God forbid, anyone were to hack or subpoena our records, there's literally nothing there. It's just a big blank because we don't store anything. So it's startpage.com. It's an easy way for people to actually take this privacy message and put it into action, because I think so often we feel like there's nothing we can do and it's just kind of hopeless. And I wanted to change that by giving people a proactive thing that they can do to begin to take control over their own privacy.
This is wonderful. Is there a charge for this?
It's totally free. And the way it works is when you do a search, if you search for, pickup trucks, you will get anywhere from 1 to 3 ads at the top for pickup trucks. They're not based on your search history or anything about you. They're just based on the thing that you searched for. You can choose to click on those or not click on them, but that's how it's funded. And we do have a paid service that's going to be coming out later this year that I'm super excited about. It's a private email alternative to Gmail. It's going to be called StartMail. It's going to come out late 2013. And what it will allow you to do is have all of your email encrypted, and we won't even have access to your email because it will be on an encrypted disk that even we can't get a hold of. So talk about privacy. It's the exact opposite of what Gmail's doing. And I can, if you're interested, I could give you a link to where your listeners could actually get a free trial when it comes out.
Yeah, where's that?
All right. Well, all they would have to do is write an email to beta, that's like alpha beta, B-E-T-A, at startpage.com. And that's because we're doing beta testing. We would ask them to be beta testers, meaning kick the tires for us and let us know what they think when it first comes out before it's released to the public.
Wow.
And when you send that, we'll send you back an automatic confirmation that you're on the list, and you'll be the first to actually get a free trial account before it becomes available for a fee to the public.
Well, thank you for making that offer. Is there a delay from the time, if we go to StartPage, we use StartPage, is there a delay from the time we do the search where you to go to Google and come back?
You know, it's amazing with the way the Internet is these days that we're able to do that at the flash of an eye. It's as quick as Google. If you look at milliseconds, it takes a couple of milliseconds longer, but your human eyes won't notice the difference.
Wow.
The other thing, though, is we don't have all the bells and whistles that Google has. If you want to go into, Google blogs and Google this and that, we don't have all that. It's just a straight search results. But we've actually found through our experience and research that about 95% of people's searches are perfectly well done through StartPage. You don't need all those bells and whistles off of Google. So the other thing you can do is when you get to startpage.com, look underneath the search box, and you'll see a little link there that says Add start page to Firefox or add start page to Internet Explorer. If you click that and follow the instructions, you know that little box in the upper right-hand corner in your browser that just defaults to Google?
Yeah.
You can switch that over so it defaults to start page. So anytime you want to do a search, you've got your little private window up in the upper right-hand corner. It's a pretty easy thing to do, and it's nice. And you still have the Google option. You can pull down and switch back to Google.
Right.
But we would encourage people to just try taking that Google addiction needle out of your arm and try just to go 7 days on start page and see if you can just break that Big Brother habit.
You know, Katherine, you've uncovered, I think, a below-the-surface fear we all have, and that is how private is all of this mass communication, and what are we doing to ourselves when we go to these services and go all over. And then I can't help but think that Google, in the end, has got some kind of a political agenda. I'm sure you're aware of what happened to them on Easter Sunday.
With that Chavez thing, my gosh.
I thought, well, why are they doing this? I mean, do they have an agenda? And therefore, could they take our Google searches and see what our interests are and turn it into some kind of political advantage?
That's the thing, actually, that got me started on this whole road. Is a couple years ago, remember when the H1N1 flu was a big thing, the swine flu and the bird flu?
Yeah.
Well, what we found out that Google had done is Google actually made a bet with the Centers for Disease Control that they could predict the location of flu outbreaks before the CDC.
Yeah,
and the way Google did it was so awful. What they did is they boasted that they can tell based on what people search for whether or not they have the flu. So if you go on and you look up chicken soup and Robitussin and my company's sick leave policy, then they'd go, boom, we've got a live one. And then they made this map, and they pinpointed the location of each individual whose searches showed that they had the flu, and they had this map covered with red dots of each of these individuals, and then they handed it to the Centers for Disease Control and said, look, we beat you to it.
Wow.
So that freaks me out, because if you'll recall back then, there was some real concern that the CDC may actually be going home to home at some future point and force vaccinating people.
Right.
So you would be able to figure out what homes to go to, who to quarantine, who to round up. And not only in issues of public health, I mean, some people may say, well, I don't know, that's a good thing. But you could do that with anything. You could figure out who were the people who were opposed to abortion, or who were the people who held Christian viewpoints, or who were the people who held fill in the blank. And we do know that historically, my gosh, Stalin and Hitler would have given anything to have access to that kind of personal detail so they could identify everybody who opposed them and just round them all up in one swoop.
Well, as horrible as it is, I mean, that's the world we're living in. That's the reality of it. It's incredible. Well, Katherine, I just love what you're doing. It's startpage.com for our viewers and listeners. You want to check it out, S-T-A-R-T, page.com. And if you want to be a part of the trial basis coming up, you want to go to beta at startpage.com.
Yeah, that's an email there. Just write an email to beta at startpage.com and just mention in your email that you heard about this through Katherine's appearance on this radio show. And that's Katherine with a K. And my website is kmashow.com. I do a daily radio show also.
kmashow.com. Well, Katherine, thank you. You're a delight. Blessings on you. And let's stay in touch, okay?
Thank you so much. God bless you, too. And I appreciate the chance to tell people about the Start Page.
All right, there you go. So bottom line is be safe out there and don't give all your information to everybody, okay? Well, coming up next, one of the Dove's own has made it big time, but we'll bring him down to size in just a few moments. Paul Coughlin's in the house, coming up next here on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Well, welcome back. It's always a joy to have one of our own back in the studio, and that is the case today. We have Paul Coughlin back with us. Paul heads up the Protectors, and now he's considered a national, if not international, expert on the subject of bullying. And we have watched this topic go from basically in the closet to being front page news, and Paul's right on the cutting edge of that. In fact, he's now considered a Fox News contributor. but he's a Dove News has-been. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. Doing good. Great to be here, pal.
Well, congratulations. I know this is a passion of yours, and God has taken you and this topic, and you're all over the world now.
You know, Perry, God will use anyone, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, we started out as only a faith-based organization. We only worked with faith-based entities.
Right.
And then within 3 months, we had more requests to speak in public schools than private Christian schools.
Wow.
So then we just formed this unique track starting, you know, about 7 years ago. And yeah, obviously used a lot in North America, but other parts of the world as well. And we've got a cry from Africa.
I was going to say, what's the deal with Africa? Why do they want you?
Well, I ran into a director of Ebenezer African Hearts Ministry in Plano, Texas. I was doing a teacher training in Plano, Texas. And this gentleman attended one of the trainings and said that my nation, well, he said my country needs this, and then he said our nation needs it. Perry, you can only imagine how horrible bullying is in parts of Africa.
Right.
With you know, high orphan rate becomes survival of the fittest type of thing, a Lord of the Flies type of mentality that some people just take horrible advantage of other people. There's not, authorities not there to stop them. And so according to numerous sources really in Africa, bullying is just widespread epidemic, and in fact we have videos on our website of kids just pleading for the protectors to come to their country.
Well, this is an incredible thing. Bullying being what it is, we've watched some big cases in the news lately. In fact, you're going to comment on one of those. For those who don't know, what is bullying? What's the essence of bullying?
Yeah, that's a great question, because so much gets thrown into the bullying pot that after a while there's no clarity, and when there's no clarity, there's no solution.
Well, I was going to ask you later on, has bullying become like ADHD in school? Just because little Johnny won't sit in the seat and be still, we give him a pill and dumb him down and say, you know, now be quiet.
I think when it comes to teachers, no. Teachers know in most cases, most of the time. It's the parents who often don't understand what bullying is, right? Any emotional, psychological owie, we now are considering bullying, which is so dangerous in so many ways. The main thing being that, as C.S. Lewis put it, he says, you know, it's the goal of the enemy to make us think it's the front of the boat that's on fire, all the while it's the stern, right? So here we are rushing into areas and we're calling it bullying, but it's really not. And all the while, the kids who are truly suffering, the ones who really need the help, they're not getting the help. So bullying is really the use of superior power with the intention to harm another person over a period of time and for no good reason. You would be surprised how many definitions of bullying there are. That's kind of a blue collar to the core definition. It usually involves humiliation, isolation, and threat of further abuse. And it also usually includes a component of audacity on behalf of the bully. We love that audacity part because you need to use the audacity of the bully against them. They often think they're the sharpest person in the room. And as a result, let them think that. Be a few steps ahead of them, set them up, very much like police do in regard to crime. And then that way you can catch them in the act. It's very important you have to catch them in the act. And then hopefully you can help reform them. So superior power, intention to harm, over a period of time, multiple times, and for no good reason. It is victimization without provocation.
All right. I want to ask you this question early on, because if not, we'll get busy and I want to ask you.
Okay.
But there are several popular shows on television that appear to me to be borderline bullying. Okay? You're laughing about that.
I have, yeah.
But there's a show that I like. It's called Pawn Stars.
Oh, okay. I've seen it.
It's the shop down in
the big boys.
Yeah.
They're big boys. The main guy's kind of a big guy.
They're fairly big guys, and they're down. They run this pawn shop in Las Vegas and everything else. But the inside family is certainly bullying this other guy who's not a family member, but he is an employee, kind of a close, I don't know if he's related, shirt tail related.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, it's fun, you learn a lot watching the show, but wait a minute, I'm going, hey, wait a minute, this is first class, live on television bullying. Am I wrong?
Well, I've seen the show, and I can't remember of the...
They're always making fun of the fat little guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that would certainly be a case of bullying. You have the difference between teasing and taunting, and you are getting into that interesting area where there are links in a chain. Teasing is usually good-natured, where both people laugh. This is what I tell parents who their kids.
Well, I've seen this kid hurt. I've seen him walk away hurt, and I realize this is scripted for television.
Yeah.
But they're getting away with it.
Well, most bullies do, and particularly if you've got like a 4 or 5 against 1, it's going to be very little that this guy can do in order to change the situation. My guess is the main guy, who seems to be like a fairly decent person, my guess would be if you could explain to that guy that this is really what's happening, he'd probably do something about it.
I would hope that would be the case. I would hope the producers. All right, now we've seen some cases now where it results in suicide.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, wait a minute, how can that happen? How can somebody lose focus of their life so much that they end it?
Yeah, well, I think until you walk in their shoes, we may think that, but boy, once you speak to them as I have, and you get to speak to the surviving parents as we have, you can see that it's not a logical conclusion, but it's an understandable conclusion. Probably due to 2 things, Perry, real quickly. Bullying is probably worse than it was when we were in school. Cyberbullying didn't even exist for me and for you and many people watching right now. It fatigues. Fatigue is one of the biggest problems that comes with serial targets.
You just get wore out from it.
They get wore out. When we went to school, Perry, and our parents be like Humpty Dumpty, we come home, they patch us back together, send us out the next day. Literally, kids today can't get away from it due to social media. And we say, well, just take the social media away. That's like taking a limb away from a kid, unfortunately. It doesn't make it stop, unfortunately. So you probably have certainly more bullying than we had before. But then also, too, we probably have a higher degree of fragility on behalf of the psychology of children today relative to, again, when you and I were growing up. It was unusual to have divorced parents when I grew up. It was weird. And today, it's pretty common. And, single parents doing the best they can, obviously, but it's an amazingly difficult job. With 2 people, it's an amazingly difficult job. So we have this increased probably fragility rather, on behalf of targets, and
well, let me ask you this, Paul. A parent who may suspect their child is being bullied, what are some of the signs that parents can start to look for if they feel their kid is starting to auger in?
Oh, and to be a target, they loved school before, now they hate it. They're quiet before when they were talkative, or usually outbursts of anger and rage and frustration at times that you didn't see it before. Siblings usually don't get along all the time, but I'm talking about really not getting along over a period of time. Decrease in grades, symptoms of depression, either too much sleeping, too little sleeping, too much eating, too little eating, general listlessness in life, unexplained marks on their body. Also, stolen items that you can't get a clear answer. What happened to this? Oh, I don't know. I lost it. But your kid didn't really lose things before.
All right, so what should parents do?
Parents, they need to do a number of things. The number one thing we can do to decrease bullying is expect our child to do something when they see it happen. We always expect other kids to do something. As long as we think that's the case, it's never really going to change. We must, and the reason why is that bystanders have the most power. If they're the ones who say something, stop, leave that person alone, this is wrong. If they don't have the guts to do that, I understand. They can just comfort the target afterward and report, not tattle, to authority what they saw and what they heard. Tattling is about something insignificant designed to get someone into trouble. Reporting is about something important designed to get someone out of trouble. It's really important that our children, not someone else's child, does that. And we would love to see Christian kids being the tip of the spear against that. This is really a battle for human dignity. It is one of the most unrecognized mission fields in America, in fact throughout the world today. Imagine if Christian kids were known as the ones who stood up for the underdog, who stood up for that kid who was marginalized. Frankly, imagine if Christian kids were known to do what Jesus told us to do throughout the New Testament. Imagine if that were the case.
Wow.
You know, right now, faith community is worried that they're not being invited into the public school systems and all that.
Right.
If Christian kids began to be known as the kids who stood up against bullying, you'd be welcomed with open arms.
All right. Now, Protectors is looking at this at two fronts. One is you're helping the individual and the group, so involved in maybe a single act of bullying. At the same time, you're getting this message out to the masses.
Yeah.
And it would seem to me that if a public school does an open assembly or whatever about the subject of bullying, you just put every kid out there on warning that this subject's now front burner. Is that right?
Yeah. And what's interesting, Perry, you say that, is that a bully, when they know that we're coming, will begin to undercut us before we get there. They can sense their power being threatened, and they'll say things like, well, we don't need this in our school. There isn't bullying going on in our school. And they're the bullies. They sense something inside that someone's messing with the power structure. So
is that the motivation behind a bullier? Is that the right word?
Well, yeah, sure. Behind a bullier is good. The motivation behind a bully, there's a number of motivations. We know a few things for sure. They enjoy it. Perry, it is pleasurable to dominate and control another person.
Wow.
It's pleasurable. I did it in high school. I did it with words. I did it through sarcasm. I know you're not surprised with that. We co-host some shows. You're like, we're really, Paul.
Yeah. I used to get his hate mail.
No, you did, Perry. Oh boy, I would take some things back. I would. And I think I'll write you a letter before. If I ever hear you're about to die, I'll write you a letter and apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. They love it. And they would do more of it if authority would let them do it. You know, sexual predators are not the only one who enjoy dominating another person. Bullies enjoy it. It's about power. It's about control. But there's a lot of pleasure associated with bullying another person.
All right, let me take a quick break. We'll be right back. Paul Coughlin's with us, and he's the founder of the Protectors. How do people get a hold of you, Paul?
theprotectors.org on our website. You can email me directly. We've got a wonderful new person on staff, Jessica, just so smart, so capable. Contact Jessica as well with any questions.
All right, theprotectors.org. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and Paul Coughlin's with us. He heads up the Protectors, which works with not only faith-based organizations, but now incredible demand across the country and around the world to come into public schools as well. He is a Fox News contributor, and he's very passionate about the subject of bullying, and it has gotten huge press lately. And now you're being called to go to Africa. Now, you would say in Africa, bullying in Africa, you may have to maybe further explain that, but what an opportunity. This country is basically begging you to come down, and I don't know where it begins and ends, but would you go to Central Africa, then to Eastern Africa, and then down to South Africa?
Well, yeah, the goal at this point is to go through Tanzania, to start off in Tanzania, work our way through Central Africa, and then there's interest in East Africa as well. You know how this goes, that if you get the green light for the trip, build it and they will come type of thing. So there's such a huge need. We know that we have 3 anchor countries, but there's others that will probably join in. And then, yeah, it is possible. We've been asked to come to South Africa for, at least the last 5 years, similar with
now, people want to partner with you on this. How do they do that?
And that's what we need, Perry. We've got the program. We just want to cover the cost of going there, and it's substantial, as you know, going to other countries. If people want to support, if they got a heart for Africa, and many people do, there's a certain romanticism with Africa, particularly within the American church, which is beautiful to see, and they certainly need our help. They can just go to theprotectors.org. There's a donate button just on our Africa page right then and there. If they have any questions, they can email me, just Paul at theprotectors.org. We are also playing around with the idea of actually bringing at least 10 people to Africa with us, there are people who will be called the protectors, point people throughout the United States. They want to take this message to their own community, and it's also possible that they may want to also join us in Africa to see what we're doing in Africa, essentially create protectors' disciples to some degree, and then they can bring the message back to their countries and their communities.
What would be the cultural differences of bullying in Africa versus bullying in a public school in America?
You know, I don't know if there would be much difference. It's Perry, there's just some people who like to mess around with other people for no good reason, and I think that particularly sometimes within the church we're ill prepared to deal with such people, because we think that we've been led to believe in many cases that if I can just reach you, if I can just understand where you're coming from, that I can help put an end to this bullying. The number one complaint we get, Perry, particularly among Christian kids, is I didn't do anything to this person, so why are they coming after me? Mm-hmm. We think that the only reason why people will come after us is because of conflict or misunderstanding or miscommunication. That isn't what bullying is about. In many cases, many times, the target did nothing. They did nothing, but that's because it's not about conflict.
So what is it, emotional survival or
it's just some people need to feel superior to others in most cases, most of the time. Your average bully does not have low self-esteem. Your average bully has average to excessive self-esteem. And they've done this over and over with tests. Kids identified as bullies, they'll ask them to self-identify their capacities, their acumen.
Really?
Verbal acumen, mathematical reading, you know, in regard to school. How smart are you as a student? They almost always come up higher in a self-test than they do in actual testing.
Really?
They often think they're just smart and wonderful, and they don't understand why other people don't like them more. And you know, so in regard to how cruelty is currency in youth culture. And Christian culture as well. We have numerous letters from kids, parents who are leaving church because their child's being bullied in Sunday school, and the poor Sunday school teacher can't even recognize bullying, let alone, you know, intervene effectively. So there's just some kids who love to attack other people. They'll do more of it, and they do it as adults. Perry, a serial bully, you know, identified in school. They wanted to find out what kind of person they became, adult they became. 5 to 6 times more likely to commit a felony by their middle 20s, 4 to 5 times more likely to abuse their future spouse and future children.
Wow.
So when you think of a bully in the workplace, chances are they were also a bully on the playground.
Wow. What about corporate bullying?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, corporate bullying tends to be designed more for a utilitarian value. Though cruelty is currency in youth culture, most people grow up after a while and they realize, man, this doesn't work. This is not right. In regard to the bullying in the workplace, they probably enjoy it as well, and they probably get off on it. But more so, they extract its financial utility. And its financial utility, if you can just intimidate and dominate other people, you will likely be the one who will get the promotion or keep other people from outing you from your horrible behavior because you're going to, you know, threaten to do something with them. Bullies are really good with real and perceived power. They may not have the power to do what they say, and I'll tell you this, I've been coaching for 20-something years, and I've run into a few parents who are bullies. They will have you believe anything if you'll believe them, or about their power to come after you if you don't play their kid or something like that. And they're, by and large, you know, their bark is worse than their bite type of thing, but you don't know that until you confront them.
Can a bully be redeemed?
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of them, you know, they're akin to sociopaths, but yeah, they can be redeemed. You have different kinds, but for our purposes in our time, you've got serial bullies and you have these acute bullies. I was an acute bully for a little bit in high school. I played around with the magic. It's such power that you can have over another person. I played around with it, but then something got the better of me. My conscience said, you know, Paul, this is wrong what you're doing to other people. And so I actually apologized to some of the people that I had done it to, the ones I could apologize to. So these are the people that when the light of truth is shown on them, they adjust to the light of truth. That's an acute bully. They apologize usually. But a chronic bully, when you say, you know, you're doing these things, they adjust the truth. These are the ones who will tell you black is white. These are the ones that will redefine right and wrong, and they will tear apart a church, that is for sure. The three areas of vocations where bullying can be the worst will be ministry, teaching, and nursing. Because all three attract a more nurturing personality, and Perry, the nurturing personality does not know how to handle a bully. It just thinks, it's the nice doctrine. If I'm nice to you, you're obliged to be nice to me. Bullies do not follow the nice doctrine. They just don't.
Well, I've seen it in ministry, and you kind of go, how can this exist?
Yeah.
Then you look at the person who's doing it, and they actually believe what they're doing is godly, and you're kind of going, all right, all of a sudden you reach an impasse. You can't get through to them. I don't know what you do with that.
Well, again, the light of truth is you talk about godly behavior, right? You show, well, this is what, you have an idea of godly behavior. Let's show what the Bible says about godly behavior, and then you compare it to that. But what they'll do is they'll just say, you know, there just comes a point you have to part ways. And they're very difficult to reach. I will say this, that in order to reach a serial bully, people change by inspiration or desperation, right? And in most cases, most of the time, it's desperation. A serial bully needs the gift of desperation in their life sooner than later.
Well, I'm glad you put it that way, the gift of desperation.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, there's only two things that will change anybody. It's those two things.
Yeah, most of us don't change in the sanctuary. We change in the storm. It's just we're hard-headed and we're kind of ugly. But we're redeemable.
All right, what few minutes we got left, I want to come back to Africa just for a moment. Do you want people to maybe partner up with you? I mean, I realize you need some financial support, but what about those who maybe want to go and be a part of this? What do they do?
We've met recently with a group that does these interesting missions to other countries, these kind of like expeditions. And they specialize in this kind of travel and putting these trips together. And we are thinking about, again, seeing if there might be about 10 people interested in creating this protectors group, bringing us over. There's actually some really like group dynamic things that are done while being part of this organization. It's founded here in Medford. And yeah, obviously the support from individuals to help us get over there is very, very important. I mean, like a lot of small organizations, small ministries, you know, we have a budget, but we don't have a budget for Africa type of thing. And but then again, Perry, there's just certain people that Africa is, that God has put it on their hearts that this is a part of the world right now at this time that they feel greatly compelled to step forward and work with, and our friends who have been over there, and very much like your friends.
Some of the most horrific persecution, Christian persecution going on right now are in Africa.
That's right.
You know, so it's a kind of a mixed bag. It's an incredible opportunity. In some ways, places there's a revival. Some places there's Christian persecution. It certainly is a open land for getting the gospel out. But I never thought of this, and I thought, well, how much sense this really makes. I mean, I would assume they want you in the schools and maybe even in some of the government areas.
I was just going to say that what's very interesting about this group that we're connected with, Ebenezer African Hearts Organization, is unlike in America, these ministries have a strong connection to big parts of the government. The same is true in Brazil. That we're also possibly will be going down there as well. But yeah, they have this connection with the government, which is profound. And what a great way to show a genuine Christian love for your fellow man. You know, Jesus talked about the sheep and the goats, and he said, you know, if you didn't help them, you didn't help me. It's one of those separating aspects within the kingdom of heaven, where if you see someone in need, you see the oppressed, you see the broken, and you see the orphan, and you don't do anything about it, he cuts you away.
All right, it's protectors.org, theprotectors.org, if you want to get involved in helping Paul with the African outreach, maybe with finances and or get involved. Again, go to theprotectors.org. I only got about 40 seconds left. The question I have is, where does a bully come from? I mean, what's in the psychic of a person that wants to do this?
It comes from his parents, primarily, though not exclusively. One or both of his parents are coercive. They're arrogant, they're disdainful and contemptuous toward other people, and they pick that up. It's just an orientation toward other people that they have. Of course, the parents will never come out and say that's what they are, but that's what they are.
So, they're a product of the parent.
One or both.
Wow, what a statement. theprotectors.org. Check it out, Paul Coughlin. Thank you, my friend. And let's stay in touch and let us know how this is beginning to develop and if we can help you out.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, have a great day. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.